everyone. Today we're going to talk a little bit about why most Americans are broke. Believe it or not, broke. Doesn't mean you're poor, it means you lost your money. But there are several reasons why the majority of Americans are broke. 69% of Americans have less than $1,000 to their name. Can you believe that? True fact for you. So, here's some reasons why Americans are broke. Number one, a sluggish economy. So, I know we're on this hiatus and whatnot, but I'm telling you, the wages are not there. They don't offset the actual activities that you're doing. It's very hard for you to compete when you have inflation going through the roof and your wages kind of spit and sputter as they go up barely enough to break even. You just seem like you never get ahead with that. The rising cost of inflation, everything from a gallon of milk to gasoline, is ridiculous. How high everything has gone up. Speaking of inflation, if you look at just the cost of medical and like dental and medical, I just can't believe you can go in for a root canal that costs $2,000, $2,500 for one tooth. I think it's just absurd. It's just ridiculous. Medical bills through the roof. I mean, it's to the point where you can't afford to be sick anymore. I never go to the doctor unless I absolutely have to. I just don't need the bills. I don't want the bills. And the vast majority of Americans have bills because they do go to the doctors all the time, unless you're on welfare. If you're on welfare, then you don't have any bills because everything's free for you, but that's a whole nother topic. Anyway, people living beyond their means is another reason why I think that a lot of people are broke today. And I think, and by that I mean, you're outspending what you're making, okay? You don't have to have a pair of Nike tennis shoes every year, You don't have to have an Under Armour shirt on all the time, everything's got to be brand name everything, I think sometimes it's okay and it's cool if you're, if you're making good money and you can afford those things, by all means, go ahead and get them. If that's what you want to do. If you're frivolous, I call it being frivolous with your money. But I think a lot of people do that. I think a lot of people go out there and buy things like a brand new car or a brand new truck or things like that, even getting a massive house, that's like a freaking mansion, and there's just the two of you that live there, it's just a status thing, if you will. But I think a lot of people live beyond their means in that respect. And I think today a lot of people don't know how to save money. I saved money from the time I was just a youngster. And in the beginning, I didn't. In the very beginning, I guess, when I first started making money in my first job working on a dairy farm, it was money and we blew it on the weekend. It was gone and we went into town and bought wine, women, and you name it. That sounded weird. Never actually bought the women. But anyway, the point is, we went carousing all over the place, and before you knew it, by the end of the weekend, you were broke. You didn't have any money anymore, So, that being said, not being able to save. I think today a lot of people don't save. They don't save for emergencies. They don't save for things that could pop up. For example, they're not saving if a toothache pops up like this, and you go to the dentist and it's $2,500 for a root canal. Where do people find that money? If 69% of them can't even come up with $1,000, how are they going to pay for that root canal? That's just on one tooth, So they got quite a little gamut they're running there on everybody. But whatever, it is what it is. What else are you going to do, right? We don't know how to work on teeth. So that being said, the rising fuel costs are not helping anybody. And I can remember, it's a lot better than it was when it was $4 a gallon. Now it's like $2.50 a gallon around here, 2020, and it changes all the time. But that's just another thing that just keeps going up. That's the inflation that I'm talking about. The groceries, when you go to a grocery store, to go out buy one little bag of groceries, come out and it was $200. I'm like, how the hell does that even happen, right? How does that even happen? It never used to be like that, but it is like that today. So you wonder why people like Walmart and whatnot are starting people out at $11, $12, $13 an hour. It's because they have to. They have to even get people to come in the door. You know what I mean? To get employees even anywhere over there. I think nowadays, you're looking at a $15 an hour is a pretty comparable deal, what people are after today. But anyway, the rising costs, the food costs, we talked about that a little bit. Some fixes to some of the things. You know, the sluggish economy, there's not a lot you can do with that, okay? There's not a great deal that you can do to help yourself out there. The rising cost of living, again, there's not a lot that you're going to be able to do with that. You can't fix any of that stuff. The best thing you can do is live within your means, okay? That's something that you've got to learn to save money, and you can do that by living within your means. I'll give you an example of my guys down in Florida where you would go down there and you take the truck and you pull into a gas station, and these guys would go in there and they would spend $20, $30 on scratch-off tickets, rock stars, Monster Energy drinks, candy bars, just complete junk, okay? They would take that money, and I tried to tell them, I'm like, guys, I pack a lunch every day. It cost me like less than $2. So you have your bologna sandwich in there, whatever you have, a little bag of chips, something like that. And I said, in your water, and I would always get like the Gatorade, and I would use the powder and mix it in there, you know. And I just used old water bottles, and I would just keep refilling them. So anyway, I was eating for $2 a day, my lunches, when I was riding with the guys, and those guys are spending $20 a day. So you take $20 a day times 5 days a week, that's $100 right there. So $100 that they're basically blowing, okay? And I'm like, you could take that, and you do that once a week times 4 weeks in a month, that's $400 a month. That's a new payment on a pickup truck or a car or whatever, you know. That's money that you could be saving to put towards something, some sort of an investment, right? So that's something you can do. You know, there are things you can do to combat what's going on out there, but you've got to get a mindset about you. You have to be thinking about how can I change? How can I get to where I need to be? If every time I get a raise, the cost of living goes up, I'm not getting ahead, right? So what I have done and what a lot of other people have done, it created side hustles, okay? Side businesses. I remember back in the day when I was working at Kmart, I started a lawn care company. That was the side business. We took the money from that. We started a landscape company. We invested into, you know, skid steer and, you know, a bobcat and so on and so forth, and dump trucks and all kinds of stuff. And then from there, we took that money and we opened up a garden center, and then it just went on and on and on from there, okay? But we constantly reinvested our money. But you have to have money to reinvest, right? That's your argument. That's your argument to me. Where do I get that money? You get that money by saving your money. Saving your money, you don't need a lot. If you wanted to open up a business, let's say, for example, you wanted to open up like a mosquito police franchise, okay? Well, it takes money to do that. So how do you get that money? Maybe you don't have to save up a $20,000 franchise fee, an initial franchise fee to get that going. Maybe you only have to save up $5,000, you know, because mosquito police will finance the rest of it or whatever. Or you can go to a bank and $5,000 down, and maybe they'll finance it for you. So there's ways you can do that to get businesses started. And it doesn't have to be the pest control business. It could be a lawn care company. It could be whatever you want to get going. All right. But getting a side hustle going is a way to break through that. It's a way to break through the bottleneck, but you got to get through it in your mind first. You got to make changes, because without you making changes, nothing changes, right? You have to make changes for change to happen. Plain and simple, right? Now, I can lead a horse to water all day long, but I can't make him drink. You're the horse that I'm leading to the water. That if you don't drink from this tank and you don't understand what I'm trying to tell you and how to better yourself here, then this video isn't going to be for you, and it's not going to help you out. Okay? I'm trying to show you a way out. And it doesn't take, I mean, there's a little bit of sacrifice there. It's not going out every weekend. I remember when I was young and single, by the end of the weekend you're broke, you know, or you're pretty close to broke. And those days have to be over with. You have to be able to say, look, I want something in my life, and if I'm going to have something, I got to get rid of some of these things. Okay, so you just can't have your cake and eat it too there, all right? Anyway, eliminate the luxuries. Focus on the necessities. You will be surprised if you look and just keep track of every single dollar you spend in 1 month, okay? Get a receipt for everything you do. Gas receipts, grocery receipts, and anything else that you happen to spend. And then at the end of that month, you and your wife sit down, go through every one of them and look at them. Go with a highlighter and say, This we had to have. It's toilet paper, okay? Soap and shampoo, we had to have it, okay? But here's bonbons or here's Little Debbie's, and I love Little Debbie's, by the way, but regardless, we didn't have to have that. We didn't have to have that steak, right? We didn't have to have those ribeyes. We could have, went and made our own fish fry. Instead of paying $10, $15 for a fish fry, and it's 2 of you, that's $30 every Friday. Maybe you don't have that. Maybe you go buy a box at the store for $5 and you make them yourself. You know what I mean? So if you go through at the end of the month and you say, okay, look at all the fuel that we spent here. Okay, is there any way we could carpool up, or is there something we could do there to save on that, right? Maybe not take the big truck to work every day. Maybe take the car. It's more fuel efficient. There's a lot of things you can do that will help you save money. And you've got to save some money. You can't just walk into a bank and say, hey, I want to buy a mosquito police franchise and, I just need 20 grand. They're going to laugh you right out of there. You have got to have some kind of collateral. You've got to have something you can put up for that, right? Because the bank's not going to just take all the risk and just on your word that you're going to make this go well, right? All right. Anyway, record all your expenses. We talked about that. Forget about all the luxuries and things that you don't have to have. You're going to have some sacrifice, otherwise it isn't going to work. It's going to be up to you on what you do. It's going to be your call, your choice on whether or not you're willing to sacrifice. If you're not willing to sacrifice, then you can stay with the rest of the 69% of the public that is broke. And if you're okay with being broke and never having anything in your life, then by all means go ahead and do that. On the other hand, if you want change, you have to change. The point is, you guys, if you want more in your life and you want a better life, to me, working for someone else is not it. You need to get your own business going, get your own gig going. Somewhere you got to get something going so you make better money. Hopefully you guys get the picture here. I hope that I've done a halfway decent job of explaining it, but I think you got to get out of that mindset of being poor, and you need to get in the mindset of, look, I want more for myself, so I'm going to start doing some of these things. I'm going to find out where my money is going. I'm going to see what I can reduce. Then I'm going to start saving that money, and then I'm going to invest that money into something. Okay? Without doing any of those things, you're going to stay in a rut. You're going to stay in a hole, and you're never going to get out of it. So don't think, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. I'll do that tomorrow, or I'll do that next month, or I'll do that next year. There's no such thing as tomorrow. Do it today.